Hello, friends, and welcome back to another set of malicious compliance stories. Our next story proves that some people should just stay home. A gym goer politely asks a woman to clean up her chalk mess, and instead of grabbing a towel, she grabs drama. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. From chalk dust to police reports. It was a normal Tuesday afternoon in Iron Core Fitness. I'd wrapped up work, tossed my bag in a locker, and was ready to hit my usual workout. Squats, deadlifts, and some pull-ups to finish. I like this gym. It's clean, spacious, and usually full of decent people who follow the basic code of gym etiquette. Rack your weights, wipe your bench, and don't hog equipment for an hour while texting your ex. Apparently, one woman didn't get the memo. When I walked over to the deadlift platform, I saw it. Chalk everywhere. I'm talking white streaks on the barbell, the floor, even a small mountain of dust around her water bottle. She'd finished her set and was scrolling on her phone, oblivious. So I waited and waited. Finally, I asked as politely as I could, "Hey, are you planning to clean the chalk off the barbell when you're done?" She turned to me, smirked, and said, "No, I'm not." Just like that. No hesitation, no shame. I blinked. "Really?" I said. "That's kind of entitled." And oh, she did not like that. Her face twisted like I just insulted her ancestors. She slammed her water bottle down and stormed toward me. "What did you just say?" I said, "It's entitled not to clean up after yourself," I repeated, trying to stay calm. She got right up in my face. I mean, we're talking less than a foot apart, and started screaming. "You don't tell me what to do, short stack. You think you're the gym police or something?" I took a step back, holding my hands up. "Ma'am, She shoved me in the shoulder, not hard enough to knock me over, but enough that everyone nearby froze. You could hear the treadmills stop. A guy on the bench next to us dropped his weights mid-set and said, "Whoa, hey, chill out." But she wasn't done. She started mocking my height, repeating "short stack" like it was some kind of insult she'd just invented. "You're what, 5'7"? You think you can talk to me like that?" I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Over chalk. Frigging chalk. "Please don't touch me," I said, and maybe step back. At that point, one of the trainers finally came over. He looked completely lost. What's going on here?" Before I could even explain, she spun toward him and shouted, "He's harassing me. He called me names. He's threatening me." I laughed out loud. I couldn't help it. It was that ridiculous. "You're the one who shoved me." The trainer tried to calm her down, but she just kept going, yelling about how she felt unsafe. A few other gym members started chiming in, telling the trainer they'd seen everything. "She's lying," one woman said from the treadmill. "He didn't do anything." Eventually, management called the police because she refused to leave. When the officer arrived, I felt relieved, like finally someone was going to sort this out logically. Yeah, about that. The officer pulled us aside separately. After talking to her for a few minutes, he came over to me and said something that made my jaw drop. "She says you made her feel threatened." I shook my head. "I didn't touch her. She's the one who got physical." Then he said, and I quote, "Well, if someone made me feel threatened, I might have put my hands on them too." Excuse me? I just stared at him. "You're saying it's fine that she shoved me?" He shrugged. "These things happen. Just avoid her in the future." Avoid her? This woman physically touched me, screamed in my face, and made false accusations, and she gets to keep working out like nothing happened? Meanwhile, the officer never asked for the security footage, never talked to the witnesses properly, and never filed an incident report. When I asked about the footage myself, gym management said it wouldn't be available until Monday. Unreal. So I filed complaints with the gym, the corporate office, the Better Business Bureau, and even the Texas Attorney General. And I'm not stopping there. I'm also reporting the officer for completely mishandling the situation. A few of the regulars came up to me later that week and said they'd witnessed everything and were happy to back me up. Turns out this woman has a reputation. She's known for yelling at people, cutting in line for equipment, and acting like she owns the place. I still go to that gym, but I pick my times carefully. I haven't seen her since, but I know she's still there. She's entitled, still convinced she's the victim in a story where she was the aggressor. It's wild how some people think the rules don't apply to them, even when those rules are as basic as don't shove someone because they asked you to clean up your mess. This story sums up everything that's wrong with public spaces where one person thinks basic decency is optional. You didn't walk into that gym looking for drama. You asked a normal, reasonable question. Hey, can you clean up your mess? That's literally gym etiquette 101. And instead of saying, sure, or even just rolling her eyes and walking away, she went nuclear over chalk. And our second story. Karen, vegan, and a gas attack. I live in a quiet suburb on the southern edge of the city where you can hear crickets in the evenings, and on Saturdays the smell of barbecue smoke hangs over the block like a flag of freedom. My house sits on a corner, and right across a narrow service road there's a complex of identical townhouses. Long, dull beige boxes with little balconies where people dry yoga mats and shake out their cats. Somewhere in there she moved in. Karen, a vegan. A warrior for clean air, the neighborhood siren who would alert the whole block to a new environmental crime if anyone cooked a patty over coals instead of in the oven. The first time she came over, I was grilling ribs with my buddies. Sunday, 5 p.m., a legendary marinade. Secrets, a bit of coffee and brown sugar. Music from a small speaker turned low. Karen stormed down the stairs from her townhouse like a sneakered hurricane, crossed the road, and without a greeting, jabbed a finger at my grill. You're poisoning the neighborhood. Do you know how many animals died so you could have your fun? 0, I winked, because it's pig. Wasn't having fun, we are. Her face crumpled like a paper cup. That's not funny. My windows stink. My dog is coughing. Is your dog vegan? I asked, because that cough sounds like raw broccoli sake. My friend snorted. Karen trembled with rage. I'm warning you, do it again and I'll call the police, the HOA, everyone. She spun around, leaving me with a diagnosis, lives with chronically elevated trauma levels. From that day on, she became background noise, balcony yelling, posts in the neighborhood chat. Did you know barbecue smoke contains carcinogens? Today at 6:02 p.m., blues smoke again. Who was it? Meat is murder flyers taped to poles. I politely took them down. Tape leaves sticky residue. I'm good at gently going with the flow. Every time she assumed the moral avenging sword stance, I'd answer, very interesting, in the tone of someone listening to a podcast about relocating a cactus. It made her boil even more. But what do you do against, very interesting? It's like trying to insult a pillow. One time, though, she crossed a line. My neighbor, Sam, and I were replacing a board in the fence. The old one had rotted. I'm on my side, Sam's on his. Out of the corner of my eye, I see Karen sneaking up with something red in her hand, a bottle of paint, clearly planning to mark the butcher. She swung and missed. A stream of red like beet juice splashed over the new board, still warm from the sun, and over our lawn. Well, well, I say, abstract winter in Wisconsin. Artist Karen. She stammered. My hand jerked. Sam was already pulling out his phone. Ma'am, you just damaged someone else's property. Photos, video, hold on. Don't you dare, Karen tried to cover the camera with her palm. I'll call my father. Ah, yes, the father. The whole block knew plenty about him, Police Officer Glenn Mackert, a reputation like a rusty bucket. It clatters, but it leaks. He'd once had some disciplinary trouble, won't dive into details, but for some reason the witnesses suddenly lost interest in testifying. Then a demotion, then reinstatement, a permanent nervous grimace, and a hand that only stops twitching when it's picking up his daughter's calls. I called the police and filed a report. No theatrics. Officers arrived, looked at the paint stains, at the video from Sam's phone, and at the footage from my porch cameras. Then Glenn himself showed up, out of uniform, but with the posture of a man whose badge floats in front of him like a halo. He huffed, looked at the fence, looked at me, at Karen. I'll cover the damages, he said. Apologize, Karen. She puffs out her cheeks. Fine. She spat out sorry like it was a steak bone she'd accidentally swallowed. Glenn promised a serious talk, assured us he'd handle it. And to be fair, he paid for the repair and the lawn. I even joked with him that now I had a police red line on my grass. Do not cross. I thought that was the end of it. I was wrong. A month later, Saturday, midday heat, I threw a small barbecue, 5 friends, beer without excess, chicken wings, and corn on the grill. A standard American weekend. I caught a glimpse of a figure in black sliding past the fence. Hoodie, hood up, scarf over the face, a grill hunter, sure. I barely had time to open my mouth when something clicked. A metal cylinder dropped a step from the grill, spun, and started belching thick white smoke. "Back!" Sam shouted. "Tear gas!" My eyes burned instantly. My throat struck a match on the inside. Someone coughed so hard I thought a lung might pop out. We grabbed damp kitchen towels and clapped them over our mouths and noses. Whoever could bolted to the front yard. I fumbled for my phone and with one tap opened the camera app, zoomed in on the backyard. The black-clad figure was already running, and then she did the thing that made the whole story possible. Mid-stride with a half-turn, she yanked off the scarf and threw back the hood to get some air. For a second, her face looked straight into the camera, the face of someone who thinks the world is her stage and you're always background actors. And on that face, a "who's going to recognize me anyway" expression with the IQ of a houseplant. "Hi, Karen," I rasped into the empty yard. We called 911. 2 cruisers and an ambulance showed up, just in case. Neighbors who'd been sniffing the usual barbecue smoke were now inhaling tear gas and not enjoying the change. While a medic checked Sam's pulse, he was wheezing but fine. I showed an officer the screen, the grenade dropping, the smoke, and freeze frame Karen's face. Not a movie, not a deep fake, just a pure ad for stupidity. "This looks very bad," the officer said. "We're going to lock down the block, call in detectives and the bomb squad. Please preserve that video. Do not delete anything." "I'll save it on 10 flash drives," I said, letting myself joke for the first time in half an hour, "and carve it into stone." While the police interviewed everyone, Karen vanished. But her dad arrived faster than the news cycle. Glenn walked like a man trying to look needed while knowing they're about to take away his keys to the ship. "What kind of nonsense is this?" he blurted. "Who got chemicals in their yard?" "Your daughter," the detective answered, barely glancing at the still on my phone. "And it's not chemicals, it's a police special device. We're very interested in how it left the armory." Glenn lost all color. He swallowed. "She wouldn't." "Get dressed for a search. We're going now," the detective said flatly. From there, things unfolded the way they always do when there are cameras, inventories, and dumb decisions. At the precinct, they quickly realized an equipment locker's inventory didn't add up. On the cabinet, temporarily relocated, dated a few weeks back, keys, access, surprise, Glenn's. At Karen's place, they found the hoodie, the scarf, and a pair of gloves with pepper crystals on the fibers. On her phone, a deleted video called "Teaching a Carnivore a Lesson," recovered by the techs in 10 minutes. In the clip, Karen's hands, Karen's voice, "Oh, smells like karma." Karma, it turned out, chose the other side. I was called in to give statements a couple of times. I showed up in a clean t-shirt, no grandstanding, said yes, no, here's the flash drive. During the second interview, they asked, "Did you know Karen's Officer Makert's daughter?" "My dog knows," I answered. "She announces it more often than she breathes." When it came to charges, the prosecutor lined them up so clearly even my logic-loving head spun. Assault with a chemical agent, unlawful entry, theft of government property, destruction and damage of private property, obstruction, because she tried to delete the video, hello iCloud, and disturbing the peace. Looking at Karen was painful. The same "you're all just misunderstanding me" expression. She even tried to spread her arms wider than the defendant's bench allowed. Glenn got his share too. Official negligence, violating storage protocols for special equipment, an internal investigation, suspension, then demotion to patrol. People who saw him walking the precinct halls after the order said his back seemed shorter and his eyes hollower. In court, the prosecutor displayed the freeze frame where Karen pulls down the scarf and looks straight at the camera. I sat in the gallery, pressing my tongue to the roof of my mouth not to laugh. She radiated pure, uncut, "It wasn't me, and that scooter isn't mine," and right beside it on the screen, her with the grenade in her hand and her voice saying, "Karma." The judge just sighed. Good grief. The sentence wasn't Hollywood, but it landed. A few months in county, with prior minor stuff counted into probation, then probation, community service, broom, gloves, orange vest, everything the internet loves, mandatory anger management, a restraining order keeping her away from me in my house, and restitution, including that fence, the lawn, and Sam's medical bill for the tear gas check. The judge explained very plainly, an environmental stance doesn't give you the right to attack people, period. As for Glenn, he was sent back to patrol to think. Rumor was it hit below the belt. He had 2 years to retirement. Those 2 years suddenly turned into a marathon on hot August asphalt. Then I learned the last slightly soapy episode, my informant was Grandma. More precisely, her friend Karen's grandmother. 2 elderly ladies who stayed home, crocheted doilies, and ran their phones like radar. One morning, my grandma called in a voice that made you want to drink tea. "Ryan, are you sitting? Glenn wrote Karen out of his will. Says he doesn't want to risk the inheritance with another stupid stunt." And apparently he stopped speaking to her. They say she tried to show up at the station and he just shut the door. "Whoa," I said. "Karma smells like more than smoke." Grandma laughed so hard I couldn't help myself either. After the verdict, Karen pretty much fell off our radar. I'd sometimes see her doing community service. She raked leaves with a face like each leaf was a burger patty. Her townhouse balcony went bare. The meat as murder posters were gone. In their place hung a drab towel. The neighborhood chat went quieter without her caps lock. It felt like the air after a storm. Once I ran into her near the store, she was carrying a bag of rice cakes, saw me, and instantly changed direction like we were two magnets with the same pole. I stopped and smiled. "Oh hey, how's anger management?" She pressed her lips into a thin white line, swallowed something, and said nothing. She just kept walking. No screaming, no threats, no "I'll ruin you." And honestly, it was the best compliment my yard got all year. I went back home, lit the grill, and tossed on a bit more charcoal. Smoke lifted into the sky like a signal. Saturday, Sam brought over corn. I winked at him. You know what's funniest? She still never learned to take a joke. But it seems she learned to take us as people, even if it took a court to get there. "Yeah," Sam said. "Guess the tear gas worked on her brain." We laughed. The sun lay across the fence, clean, without red stains. The grass as green as fresh hope. The porch cameras blinked softly like good guards. Not to chase drama, but to have an answer ready for the main question just in case. Who actually lost their mind? This time everyone knew, even the ones who don't like the smell of barbecue. They say being vegan makes people less irritable. I can imagine how beastly Karen would be if she ate a piece of meat. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.